Hey nerds, in this live stream we will review and do a spoiler breakdown and discussion of Loki Season 2, Episode 4, titled Heart of the TVA. It is written by Eric Martin and Katharyn Blair and is directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, starting now. Welcome to the Nerd Social. I am Colin.
And I'm Nathan.
Yeah, sorry for the little bit of a delay there. We're in so Nathan is traveling right now, so there is going to be maybe a slight delay. So apologies in advance for that. Our sport.
Yeah, I'm in Nairobi for the month. Hopefully, we'll resolve the issue.
It's okay. It's perfectly okay. I told him there was like the CNN delay. But anyways, Loki season 4, not season 4, episode 4, season 2. Spoiler free logline for this episode is that the TVA's Loom nears catastrophic failure, but Loki, Mobius, and Sylvie have a He Who Remains variant. So, Nathan, what do you think of this episode? A lot of talk online about this episode, so I want to hear your thoughts on it.
I liked it quite a bit. It was it was very gruesome without being gross, but like it was yeah, there I think the most like horrifying deaths in the MCU have happened, and that's counting like if you think about like in Hawkeye those guys that were shrunk down and like taken away by a owl.
Mm-hmm.
They might you can imagine a situation where they might have been able to escape the owl and didn't get pecked up death by an owl, but like the death that happened in this one, yeah, there was no escaping it. And actually there was a couple of them actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, there was so yeah, it was it was an interesting episode.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the action happened in the TVA. Yeah, without spoiling anything. And yeah, I think Jonathan Majors, I think, yeah, last week I was mentioning that I kind of warmed to his performance in this version of Kang or Victor Timely. Found it was even, I guess even more endearing this episode. So yeah, I liked it quite a bit.
Oh, oh, sorry. Oops. Oh, God, totally forgot it. I didn't shut that off. But anyways, yeah, that's good. I think that for me, I think that yes, there's a lot of stuff online about the gruesomeness of this, and I think that definitely it shocked me. Like when I first saw it, I was like, "This is the MCU. Wow, this is really pushing some boundaries." And this is what I think that we wanted to see in terms of Phase 4 and Phase 5, which they didn't really do in terms of kind of pushing these boundaries. We kind of saw that a little bit with Werewolf by Night. You know, I was really intrigued by that, and like when I saw the trailer for that, and you know, at the same time, I think that there's been bits and pieces of this type of new experimentation and pushing the envelope, taking risks. I think that you definitely see it here, and I'm hoping that the MCU starts kind of evolving into that, because I think that they've gotten hopefully past their silly phase. I think that you saw a lot of unevenness in Phase 4 and stuff, and even in the start of Phase 5 there's been a lot of unevenness and trying to kind of realign, rejigger what they're trying to do with what they have right now. So it's encouraging to kind of see, and also the characters, the dialogue was really top notch, I think, and just overall just a really solid episode. And you know, I think that it probably did even surpass last week's episode, which was really high on my list. But in any case, I think that it's definitely quite up there because of the shock value, and also the ending was really interesting in that sense. So I think that's kind of like my thoughts overall on this whole episode. So Nathan, what do you think? What do you think of the rating that you're going to give for this episode?
Well, I was actually surprised you just said that it surpassed your expectations from last week because you gave last week a 10. Um,
Yeah.
but but yeah, I think actually I actually like this last better than last week as well. I gave last week I think an 8.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I will give this a 9.
Mm.
I can definitely see watching this over and over again.
Yeah.
The pace of this was definitely a lot better than last week. And I understand why some of the things were set up in last week, why it was kind of a little over long. But yeah, the pacing of this episode seemed much more brisk, and there were a couple lulls where people, had time to sit around and kind of figure out what they were doing or what their next steps were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
When they had to sit around and figure out what their next steps were going to be, but otherwise it was very quick and fast paced, similar to the first episode actually.
Right.
So yeah. Right. So yeah, I'd give it a 9 movie marathon.
Yeah, I think that for me it's definitely going to be a 10. I think that in terms of the shock value, like I said, and also just the high quality of the performances. And just moving the story along, and then also the ending. I mean, that's just a lot of stuff there. And I thought last week was really good. This was better than last week, but I can't give it a 11 on the rating and stuff like that. 11 out of 10.
Spinal Tap. You're gonna turn it up to 11. It's like...
Yeah, exactly. So I can't really do that, but because of those kind of like two pivotal type of things that happen. It's just really, really good because of that. It just kind of took it over the top for me. So that's kind of where I'm at with this episode. So any other thoughts before we get into spoiler territory?
No, it's even more than last week. This is difficult to talk about without without the spoilers because, like I said, there's some shocking things that happen, and it's difficult to talk about those shocking things without the specifics of why they're shocking.
Right. So, if you like what we have to say about Loki and other content like this, please like, share, subscribe, and it really helps us out in the algorithm. And without further ado, spoilers ahead. Okay, so let's get right to it. So we see at the beginning of this episode, we see that they were at the Citadel at the end of time. So we kind of left off with Renslayer and Ms. Minutes, in the Citadel at the end of time. And so we kind of have this nice shot of, nice visual of the Citadel area with all the timelines kind of still broken and things like that. So I just found that this show really does have a very good contrast between the kind of like the fantastical visuals and then the more bureaucratic, boring set design pieces that they have. So mm-hmm. I like that contrast a lot, and I think that kind of setup really does this show a really, really good kind of service and really brings a lot to the show itself, much more so than the other shows that we've seen on Marvel shows that we've seen on Disney Plus. And then so again, we kind of left off. I think this, we kind of left off with Renslayer and Ms. Minutes, observing the body of He Who Remains, and then also kind of like there was this recording that they had where they were actually, He Who Remains and Renslayer were kind of collaborating together, in this multiversal war that they were doing, and then when she went through the time door, he kind of like say erase all memories and stuff. Like it kind of saw kind of how ruthless, He Who Remains is, and kind of like also very manipulative. He's like, oh, I really want you to be by my side and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, tell Miss Minutes, like, yeah, you erase everything, just like you erase her memories and things like that. So I was like, wow, this guy is like really, really villainous in that regard. Yeah,
I mean, he seemed to feel bad about it, but he still did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, wow, he went there, and yeah, that wasn't even one of the most shocking things. It's just like, but it was just like in the beginning, it was just like, wow, this is like Thanos level type of stuff that we've seen before in the past. So we see that Victor Timely, he's kind of like the fish out of water in this episode, and then but he adjusts pretty quickly, with collaborating with the crew
Obi.
Here, Obi, in terms of building the structures to kind of protect the temporal loom. I think one of them was it's called the thought put multiplier. That's what they said it was. And then there was like
throughput multiplier,
throughput multiplier, and then there was like a smaller device that he had to like. Was that the throughput multiplier?
So it seemed like a prototype. If you've seen Quantum Mania, I mean, you don't have to see Quantum Mania. You find clips of just Kang. If you see clips of it, it looks like a very crude prototype of the sphere that he could not that broke when he was trapped in the quantum realm, and Janet was helping him fix at the beginning of that movie. I'm not spoiling that much of that movie. That actually happened at the beginning of the movie. So it looked like a very crude, like 19th century prototype of that. So he added that to the throughput multiplier, and that is what made it presumably work better. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember now, and it's so weird that it happened at the beginning of the year, in February 2023, and like it's like wow, it's like we're almost in November, so it's kind of MCU works very, very weird in that way. It seems like ages and ages ago, but it's like it's not really that ages and ages ago. Yeah, very interesting in that regard. You see here also there's a nice kind of interchange between Sylvie and Loki in terms of kind of like Sylvie kind of still expressing a lot of doubt in terms of, Victor Timely, can he pull this off and things like that. And so like I think there was a line where she said that we're playing God here, and then Loki kind of go back and tell her that, oh, we are gods, in some ways.
Yeah. So what you expect him to say? Like he wants to be good, but he's not going to get rid of the title of God. Even Thor hasn't gotten rid of the title of God, and he's a good guy. So he still thinks that he's a god, and he wants to rule. So yeah.
Right. Exactly. And so I think that again, these performances, the exchange that the both of them have, and also it's like the character interactions has been such top notch. In terms of the acting, in terms of the, and we'll get to like Tom Hiddleston at the very end of this episode, where I just found it like amazing, like what he does. So, but yeah, it's just really, really brilliant kind of acting and things like that here. Now, this is the part where it's like, where the internet kind of exploded and was like, oh my gosh, And so to set this up, this is where Docs and the other TVA members refused to comply with Renslayer and Miss Minutes. And so I think Brad was the only one that kind of like said, okay, I'll follow you. I'll follow your plan. And so from episode 2, Breaking Brad, we knew that there was a torture device of the box shrinking, and we didn't see it. We didn't see what Brad, because Brad actually admitted to Loki and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the point of that episode when Loki was pretending that he was going to squeeze him was to show you how small it could get, and you saw all those people. You saw all those people inside of it. They showed you for a second that they were all inside of it, but I think they showed you enough when Brad was inside of it to know that it will get smaller and smaller and smaller. And so like there's a couple things about this scene. The gruesomeness of dying that way first. But Brad, the look on Brad's face when he saw all of his comrades squished, and then the look on Miss Minutes' face. Yeah, she looks so excited.
I know. I'm like, she's crazy. She's crazy. No, you thought that she was crazy in the last episode. She's even more crazy right now. Like, you don't want it anywhere near her. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, you don't want to get near this type of woman. Like, no way, no how. Oh man, it was absolutely nuts. And it's just like, it was just like one of the most shocking scenes, most gruesome scenes, and you didn't have to show it. Like, you kind of
just because you knew what was happening, because like I said, they set it up. They set it up earlier so that you knew what was happening.
And you didn't even hear screams. I don't remember if you heard screams or not, but I mean,
I think you heard a little bit, but not like a lot, because I think it just happened so fast that like
I think that also there was a scene that like subsequently, like I was tempted to see if they were gonna show it, like the show a little bit of it, because it was like I think it was Brad or something like that. They cut to a scene where it was like, oh, can we see the box? It's like, nope, they didn't. It was like maybe a shadow of the box or something like that, and it was like, wow, it's like they really went there. And It just again they push the envelope here, and it's like almost like Dark Knight level type of thing, where it's like there were parts of Dark Knight where they didn't show you, but you knew what happened.
Yeah.
And this is like
Yeah.
kind of like that, and I'm like, wow, they really did it. So wow, it
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
yeah.
I think the look on Brad's face, and then when B-15 comes and
Hmm.
she sees it,
Right.
like the look of horror on her face, that's
Yes.
enough to like sell what happened.
Right.
So yeah, it's
Exactly.
terrible,
Exactly. Yeah.
terrible.
um, and then we get to a point where there was a scene where they were getting hot cocoa, I think, and then he was and then Hunter D90 was actually pruned by Wolf, so it was like Timely and this other hunter that was there, and they were going to get hot cocoa, bef- and then what happened was
Yeah,
that again they got pruned by Wolf, by Brad,
Brad. Yeah,
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 and then Brad then kidnaps Victor Timely, and then through this part here where you see in this scene where Loki gets pruned. This was back in, I think, episode 1, was it? And then so now you see who actually did that, because we weren't really
yeah.
sure what happened here. We were like, he got pruned, but then it was like, who did it? Like did he do it to
I
himself?
think
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of speculation that he did it to himself because he would uniquely know that he was there in the future. So
Hmm.
I think a lot of people assumed that it was going to be him. But I thought this scene was going to be in the last episode. It's interesting that this is in this episode. I don't even know where they're going to go next week. This is like only see episode 4, and basically everything is gone. I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but like, yeah, I don't know where they're going to go next week.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really,
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it's just like they left you with a cliffhanger that you don't know what's going to happen next, and it's even a bigger cliffhanger than, say, what happened at the end of season 1. When he saw all the Kang statues, and you're like, what, whoa, what, well, like what's going to happen with everything else, and to the point where he doesn't know who, Mobius doesn't know who he is, and things like that. They kind of resolved that pretty quickly, and I found it very surprising that they did resolve it very quickly. But yeah, it's just very interesting to kind of see where they're going to take up this part of it. So yeah, very interesting there. Oh, and this part where Timely goes to the loom, and what a great special effect. But of course, we saw this in Multiverse of Madness in some ways.
the
You know,
spaghettification.
yeah, yeah, and but I didn't think that he would die. It's like wow. It's like they took a risk
No,
here.
but they actually made you like this variant because this variant
Yeah.
of he seemed like a nice guy. He was a little bit of a fraudster or a huckster, but like that I seemed to be just because he didn't have the technology that he needed in the 19th century to do what he wanted to do.
Hmm.
But he had lots of ambition. He had lots of brains, and he's like psyching himself out. It's like time to be brave, and he went out there, and it's like
Yeah.
immediately spaghettified.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I felt bad. I really felt bad for him, and I'm like, they killed him off, and yeah, very interesting. And then before this scene, it was they were trying to reboot Miss Minutes, and so Miss Minutes was like
Yeah.
kind of like being rebooted, and then because that was the way that we could kind of get around the fact that she was refusing to kind of help them in some ways.
Refusing, not just for refusing, that she was trying to actively slow them down. That's why
Right.
Sylvie and Loki got separated. She was messing with the systems. But yeah, Obi shut down everything, and then it's funny, she reverted to earlier versions, and then she looks at Victor and says, "You'll never be him."
Yeah.
And then you see Kang's face behind her. Yeah, it's interesting. It was Miss Minutes is probably the most whacked out character that they've created in the MCU in a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can't even recall anyone that is that wacky, I like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, totally just like out of left field type of thing.
like she's like the MCU doesn't have, because they don't have rights to Spider-Man. They don't have Carnage. She's kind of sort of like she's sadistic. She's
Yes.
like Thanos wasn't sadistic, like
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
yeah.
And then so we see that the loom here is exploding. And again, great effects here, of the visuals and things like that. And then you see kind of like the light going. Look at the expression on Tom Hiddleston. It's like the light coming to him. He's like shocked, like completely like what the hell just happened, like processing the whole thing happening, and then it's almost like apocalyptic type of thing going
Yeah.
for him, and is he
I,
just like
I mean,
in
what
shock?
what do
Yeah,
you do if you can see a mushroom cloud? What do you do? If you can see a
yeah,
mushroom cloud, you're too close to the mushroom cloud, right?
right, right,
Yeah. If you're not watching a mushroom cloud in video, if you're actually in real life watching a mushroom, something like that, an explosion, you can't do anything. That's the next expression that you're going to be gone in less than a second.
right.
So
Right,
yeah.
exactly. And so, and then they did the close up. He did the really close up, and you can see the eyes, and it's like, whoa! It's like they really went for it. I don't know if people have seen Oppenheimer. I mean, it's at that level. It's like it's at that level of
Yeah.
kind of like that visual of the shock and just the expression. It's just like wow. It's just yeah,
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
Very very impressive ending to it. And this is kind of where it ended. And then you click on it. It's like that's it. And I'm like what?
Yeah, there's no. I don't. I'm here. As I said, I'm in Nairobi, and I try to. The connection here is a little wonky, and I thought I kept scrubbing to see if there was like a after credit scene or something give us something. It's like no, I
Nope.
didn't see anything.
No.
So yeah, there's supposed to be two more episodes though. So I don't
Yeah.
know what.
Yeah, they have 2 episodes to resolve this, and I know that the I think one of the directors said that he like if you thought episode 4 was really really good, you gotta see 5 and 6. So of course they gotta play it up, but I mean I don't know how you can top
I know the
yeah,
press hasn't gotten no one from the
right,
press. I mean, we're in the press, but we didn't get even the first four. But the press only got the first four, so no one has seen the final two yet. So I
right,
guess we will see. We only have his word to go on it. We'll actually see next week.
right, right,
So
right. So any final? I mean that was so action packed, but any final thoughts on kind of like this kind of like shift that it leads to, or even some speculation about what happens, in the MCU? Because a lot of things that they say like everything's broken, maybe, or everything's kind of like there might be a soft reboot. Who knows? Yeah.
I have no idea what to think. They said that the multiverse happened after Sylvie killed Kang. So that's why we got Multiverse of Madness, and that's why we got No Way Home. And that's how we're gonna get Deadpool. But like now the whole TVA has exploded, and like I don't know what happens after that. Like so if there's yeah
Yeah, it's kind of
maybe
like
it,
yeah, it kind of reminds me of the of when some of the Flash movies where they kind of rebooted everything. It's like everything's destroyed, and then you know they go back to the beginning. It's like I wonder if they're gonna do that or not. Especially with this show, but you know,
I think they have a bunch of things scheduled, so I don't think there's gonna like after Loki the universe is gonna be rebooted. But I think what's happening here is definitely gonna feed directly into Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty. So we'll see how that goes.
hmm
Yeah,
okay.
but I have no speculation because like yeah I know people are kind of making stuff up and speculating just to make videos, but like no one knows what's gonna happen next.
It's very funny in that in many ways in that you think that the MCU is kind of like dying and things like that, and people are
Hmm.
and then like oh it's just like it's just going through the motions, but then they kind of bring you back in and getting intrigued by just like these small little things. And
Yeah,
they really they I mean I've been kind of very consistent about how I feel. Yes, I've been kind of discouraged, but this is interesting in that let's see what happens, because
yeah,
they've been kind of like kings for so long. And of course people have dynasties have lulls and things like that, so
yeah.
it's normal. So we'll see if this is kind of another high watermark for the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so far it has been. So we'll see if they as I often say, stick the landing in the last couple episodes. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, any other final thoughts? We're good.
No, just looking forward to next week. We shall see.
Okay. So, if you like what we have to say about Loki season 2, please like, share, and subscribe to more content like this, and we will see you in the next one. All right, guys. Have a good one.